Hello, 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 and thank you so much for joining us. This is our first in a series of Black-owned businesses educational programming webinars entitled Powering Florida's Black Businesses. If you didn't get to catch the series in 2023, be sure to head to the YouTube or Facebook page for Hip Rockstar. We have all of the webinars archived for you. Today, the Florida Association of Black Chambers of Commerce presents Securing the Bag. Thank you to our sponsor, Florida Power and Light. Be powerful for unlocking the full potential of Black-owned businesses and propelling them forward into unprecedented heights of success. If you have any questions throughout the webinar, please feel free to send them our way. Today, we're streaming live on Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter, and YouTube. I'm Jessica Garrett-Modkins, your moderator, and I have the pleasure of being joined by panelists and industry leaders, Brenda Morrison with the Miami Foundation and Joshua Numa with the Bayside Foundation. Thank you so much, Brenda and Joshua, for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
Let's just jump right into it. As we know, Black-owned businesses have many challenges that may be unique to other business owners. Are there any common banking challenges that you can point out that Black-owned businesses may be facing today in 2024?
I'll start it off. So as far as some of the challenges that we find our business owners seeing every day, especially in getting financial products, is first knowing which bank to choose, which financial service makes sense. There's so many products, so many invitations through email, through letters in the mail, through phone calls, going after our business because our business is good, our business is growing. But at the end of the day, are we the right customer for this type of bank? And will they be here in the next 5 to 10 years if we're going to actually be honest about our economy? Some banks are closing. Some banks have interest rates that just aren't fair to the lifestyles that we live, to the businesses we want to grow, and what we want to pass on as legacy. So as far as us choosing the right bank, first and foremost, it comes to, do you meet the revenue requirements? Do they actually have a business team that you can meet with? Or is there thresholds that you have to ascertain before just, you have to click buttons before you get a human? We have to make sure that we know this is a relationship thing. We don't want the fast opportunities to get money, because once we do the actual math, we might be in a hole. So these are some of the challenges and, the onus on us to make sure that we're creating real relationships with these lenders and not looking for the quick buck or even programs that, even though they look positive, will they really be here in the next couple of years to support us?
Yeah, I would love to add on to that, especially Josh, when you talk about folks building relationships. Whether you are a longstanding established business, maybe you might be an intergenerational business, or you might be startup phase or like later stage. Something that you always need to keep in the back of your mind is not to be so self-reliant just on funding opportunities through banks. You have to keep in the back of your mind that banks are businesses, and so they want to ensure that their investment in you is going to be in essentially profitable for them. And also the profitability comes in terms of the opportunity for you to be able to make repayment on time. If you're not able to do that, then you're going to find yourself not only in the red, but you'll find yourself in a stagnated space of getting a little bit more emotionally attached to the fact that you got rejected. Versus really making sure that you're diversifying your capital opportunities for your business.
We did talk about this in another setting about predatory lending and the onset of web-based banks. Can anyone speak about the challenges with that?
Yeah, I was going to share a story that we often see, I'm sure Brenda as well, with a number of clients that come to our foundations looking for the fix or a remedy to make sure they can get out of the predatory debt that was easy to get through merchant accounts, through what they use as their payment systems. These offers come in continuously. And at first they seem as though it's, it's a godsend. It's something that's going to hit your account in 48 hours or less. But did they really do the math to see what it's really going to cost them to get a piece of their revenue every week, sometimes daily? We're dealing with a customer currently. They have an issue with a quick loan, a company that pursued them for months. They called the right day that they had an issue. They were approved probably in a couple of days. But then this owner ends up with $4,000 a month in payments. This is something. Oh, sorry, I said month. That's normal. 4,000 a week. So every Monday he has this payment, and he's not the only business that we've seen like this. Where I can't name the companies, but a number of the swiping companies, a number of the merchant accounts, or just some of these credit lines that are targeting us. They're providing a service that is for their profitability, for their business, and the interest rate, the real calculation behind it. We need to be able to do the math on everything. We're not going anywhere as business owners by holding off on the math. We're not tapping into the resources from our accountants, our team, local technical assistance providers. We have to tap into all that to make sure the choices we're making is going to be for the legacy of our business.
I can't stress what you said enough, Josh, because I think what this point even hits on a lot is that while there's a stress of like working on your business and working in your business, part of that is also integrating the education piece in as well. I know it is hard to do because you're constantly trying to stay afloat, trying to like make the thing a thing and to keep it going, but integrating the education is just as much as important. You don't realize until you get warped in and and you get trapped that you realize that you set yourself back a lot further back than you thought initially. And so a lot of these predatory lenders are counting on you to not integrate education into what you're doing. A lot of these predatory lenders are preying on the fact that you're not being interwoven into other actors within our small business ecosystem that can teach you the right steps to avoid these trickery things that these predatory lenders do.
Brenda, you touched on a very, very good topic as far as education is concerned, because as businesses, we don't necessarily know what to look for to identify a predatory lender in any. We don't know. We just don't know. But what are some suggestions that you can give to us to be able to look for, or how do we go about educating ourselves on it?
Yeah, that's a really great question, and I think this is why it matters a lot for Josh and I to even be here today and representing the organizations that we do. Um, Josh works for a CDFI, which is a certified development financial agency that is meant to be the middle person between banks and business owners. They are meant to really do a lot of lending to the community and do it in a way that is less, not even less predatory, but more accommodating than a bank would. And so it is surrounding yourself with organizations like that where they do hand-on-hand technical assistance. Technical assistance doesn't only just mean what do I have to ensure that I have my documents in order to get funding. It also means talking you sometimes even off the ledge of like just going for the predatory opportunity just because you need the money because you need it to stay afloat. It is teaching you how to read the fine print sometimes, how to be aware of reading the fine print with those opportunities. And it's also even surrounding yourself with other business owners who have avoided those pitfalls as well, will help with the education piece as well. This is not a one size fits all when it comes to education, and we've seen that a lot as you think about the various demographics that consist in Miami-Dade County and even across the Tri-County area. Everybody has different learning proficiencies and different ways how like a material or a topic or a place in which you can try to avoid some of those pitfalls. It occurs differently for everybody. It hits a little bit differently for everybody. But I think being able to at least try to connect yourself with opportunities such as this platform, such as this webinar, and even those CDFI organizations that I mentioned, is a great space for business owners to lean into. And we're not far away. We're really rooted in the community, and we're here to serve you.
Thank you, Brenda. Josh, do you have anything that you can add? Maybe some red flags that someone may be in this process right now about to sign a dotted line with this predatory lender. Any red flags that you can give our viewers today?
So, doing the math is one of the first things. If they're trying to push you along the process and they're letting you know, hey, this is our interest rate, this is exactly what we're saying, where's the fine print? Can you review the documents before you sign? Is this something that you've taken the time out to speak with anyone else about, whether it's a technical assistance provider, organization in your area, whether it's another CDFI, just to give you a comparison so you can see why would I go with this and not go with that. Other red flags, we got to be able to use BB&B. We have to look at reviews. We have to really talk as a community and really come in unity against some of these predatory aspects that generationally, payday lenders still on the corner, and it's different people going, but we all know the same story. So it's something where we have to get into deeper conversations about what debt really is. And, it is a tool, but at the end of the day, it cannot be the backbone of how we're going to grow our companies, how we're going to get to the next level, because there's another hook at the end of a lot of these debt companies. So you want to make sure perpetual debt is not going to be something that is going to be part of your business long term. It's you get it to pay it off in order to grow your business, in order to meet specific strategies. Mm-hmm. Anything else taps into a system or a game where you have to be careful, because how's this going to affect your taxes? How's this going to affect your personal credit? There's a number of things. So a lot of these companies, another red flag, they may say, don't worry about personal guarantee. Don't worry about your credit. We'll use this or we'll use that, or we just going to use your cash flow from your bank account. Really find out what your payment terms are going to be. Will they be daily, monthly? If it's revenue share and all of a sudden you have a great booming business, now you're working for this person and paying them part of that revenue. So there's so many aspects. And in the financial world, there's something called creative finance, where they just make up programs and make up things, and you're on the hook at the end of the day. We saw it with the crash in 2008. We've seen it continuously in our neighborhoods that are distressed and disadvantaged, some of them. And this is something we have to combat.
Mm-hmm. And this is why Brenda said so eloquently, there are very unique circumstances and you actually have to delve into them more. So I completely understand what Brenda was saying. Thank you, Josh, for explaining that. Let's talk about preparation for loans and grant applications. Are there some general essential steps that you can provide to preparing for the application process? And then we're going to delve into the program that both of your institutions offer.
Yeah, I'll start off with this one. I'll start off with grants first, and then we can take it to the loans. You really want to think about it as a business owner, and it's often very hard to be able to do, because again, you're in the process or in the space of sales, so you're constantly focused around that. But it's important to be able to always know your story, like be able to have an elevator pitch like ready to go. Why you decided to do what you're doing, how has it affected people, the areas that you serve, and in terms of how the product that you might have, how it's been doing in conjunction to the rest of the market, helps out a lot to be able to tell the story. Oftentimes, you might not necessarily be good in finances, but if you're also not good in telling your stories, that can end up being a double whammy for you. And so that is like tool number one that I would definitely say for folks. Also, to get prepared is that if you are not good with numbers, that's not a bad thing. But being able to recognize it and be able to say to have the vulnerability to go to somebody else who might be highly specialized in doing that for you is a great strength as a business owner to have. I know oftentimes people might get hesitant of, I can't see the future of what I'm doing right now. I can only get to see till tomorrow or see till 5 o'clock today of what I'm going to be doing. But it does not help to get additional funding or put yourself in good standing for additional funding if you can't project or be able to tell the future of what an investment is going to do for you, especially when it is money that you're not going to repay. It's highly competitive as is. Not only for my program, which we'll discuss a little bit later, but for a lot of other programs, it's highly competitive. People like to go the route of not having to pay back money. So you can only imagine like how top tier people's storytelling might be in terms of what they do, in addition to how well they are working alongside somebody to craft out their financials. Those are two things that I would heavily stress for folks to work on. And it doesn't kill you to start as early as possible, even if you don't have anything to tell the full story. Working along a trusted voice, and I would say trusted voice in the community, that can really help you start to really craft out what that looks like. The earlier the start, the better, because funding opportunities will always be there. But if you don't put yourself in the best position to have the documentation ready, you'll always get disappointed or be a bit hesitant to say, is this really for me? Should I really go for that? Will this actually help my business?
Thank you. Josh?
And for us as a lender, we also offer training programs. One of the key emphases that we have is start as early as possible. One of our consultants that teaches projections and cash flow says some of his clients, he's starting a year early, getting them in shape, getting the books in order, talking these strategies out. As Brenna just mentioned, your story is everything for us. You can hook us in or you can worry us with your story. Sometimes people share personal information, crises, and issues. And as CDFIs, we can talk it through. We can definitely adjust. We're trained in that aspect. But at the same time, you're representing your business. So if it's the business isn't doing good, the business isn't doing good. And then we get a business plan that reflects what you're saying. Words are powerful. Not here to preach, but what you say becomes. So if you are constantly saying that, and we see it in your projections, we see it in the way you actually do business when we do a site visit, these are all things that can affect the outcome of the loan at the end of the day. So having a strategy, working with your team, having those conversations in depth about what's in your business plan, updating your business plan. Anybody have updated it recently? Not just because of I'm applying, so now I need to put everything together. It needs to be well crafted. If you did that 3 months ago, even a little bit now, your account probably disappeared. Your tax preparer was a no-show because this is the wrong season to try to put things together last minute. And actually, it's always the wrong season to do that. This is why we have organizations like SBDC, SCORE, a number of too many technical assistance partners in Miami, Broward, and a number of areas in Florida, because this is something where you have to have a team. So tapping into your team is essential.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Something that Josh said that I think I would love to be able to underscore to folks listening in is authenticity is so key. I actually just hosted or co-hosted a application party for one of our products earlier today, and we had a panel of folks who got grant funding from us. But there was one panelist in particular who applied one time, didn't get funded. The first time applied again. And the vulnerability of saying that, the reason why, or part of the reason why they didn't get funding the first time was because they didn't have all of their stuff in order. But what that required a bit of vulnerability to then say, like, in the first application, to kind of say not all the things that we were requiring, but to at least start where you started, like having the vulnerability to start there. Maybe your financials weren't in order, but you need to have the vulnerability to be able to share with somebody so that it can get better over time. You got to start at some point. Hoarding it in and kind of like being a little reserved to it is not going to get you anywhere with at least being able to get funding.
Yep. And one more thing, can I add in one more?
Yes, absolutely.
Mention business plan. We're mentioning financials and things like that. I don't know if you want me to get specific later, but 3 years of taxes, 3 years and that's personal and business, 6 months of bank statements. I have my little cheat sheet for some people that I tell them, sit down and review these financials. Go over the story, go over the history, go over what has played out, at least in the last 3 years of your business that you can confidently speak to somebody about and take onus of, yep, I wasn't doing this, I was doing that. This worked out great. The pandemic affected me this way. All these are essential. We have to be able to really get into these details because at the end of the day, vendors are going to look at your margins. And sometimes margins aren't really discussed. because maybe we're not tracking them as much as we should, or the service providers that we have, whether it's accountant, tax preparer, or even consultants, we're not meeting them at least 3 times a year. I would definitely want to challenge anyone. Meet with these people 3 times a year, meet with your referral network, work on your story, because you may need funding in the future, but you're always going to need these resources in general to grow your business. We need net positive business in our community. Playing the tax game or the loophole game, it sounds fun. Wait till you get the millions. Before that, let's make the system really work and grow our businesses so we qualify for the loans. And, like we saw in the pandemic, something that we may actually need. We don't want to be caught playing the tax game when a great opportunity like the EIDL loan or PPP comes out again.
Joshua, those were excellent points. And I will say, as a business owner, what I have noticed throughout the years is it really isn't a big difference between a grant and a loan as it relates to the paperwork. The paperwork is kind of the same, not an application, but what is required of a business owner. So it's almost as if once you have made sure that you have that drive access or that folder set up on your computer with all of that pertinent information as it relates to numbers and your business plan, your identity information, all of it just secured in one place, it kind of takes the stress off of an application process. And then also, Brenda, you mentioned, oh gosh, that thought escaped me that quickly. Oh, about your fellow panelist who wasn't offered the opportunity for one of your programs in the past, but was able to secure it here recently. One of the things that I do want our viewers to take from that story, to glean from it, is that shows you how you can prepare yourself. If you are not looking at every defeat as if it is something to feel bad about, but what can you learn from this setback? What do you need to do to kind of restructure your business, restructure your focus, play a profits game, maybe cut back on certain areas of your spending? I'm not sure, it's very specific, but there is beauty in not being able to get a yes all the time, because it makes you tighten up your game. And as an entrepreneur, as a small business owner, we sometimes don't have colleagues that we can lean on to be very transparent with. So when we're going through these processes and you're not allowed or afforded that opportunity, don't just take no, go back and ask why, so that you can improve your portfolio and move forward. Josh, you mentioned personal credit and business credit. How important is that in your process?
So as a CDFI, as Brenda mentioned, we're the in-between right before you're going to a bank for most of our underserved communities or for those that don't have the credit. So what we're looking for, not so much as a credit score, is what's on your credit report. And can we hear the story behind if you're under 600, for instance, what caused that? Is this due to you being new to credit? Is this due to being over leveraged? These are all telltale signs of character that let us know how you manage money, how you deal with the influx of money. And there's a history. It's in the best interest to be able to have those conversations. Some people are a little discouraged of giving the details of their history, and that's what we're here for. We're here to assist you. It might mean a lower loan. It might mean no changes to the loan process, but at least it helps you and helps us understand that you're a worthy risk. So as far as personal guarantee, most CDFIs are looking for that. Sometimes they're looking above 575. We're around 600 to 575. Others are looking for specifics like you haven't had recent bankruptcy, any judgments or open cases, which some business owners don't know about. Sometimes they find out during our process. It even liens, same thing. Some people just don't know they had a lien because of the vendor or some account that they have opened years ago. So being able to go through all this and have that conversation. For business credit, the CFIs that I know, some report, some don't. We don't deal with business credit because we're doing a loan to the business owners, anyone over 20%. But business credit is also essential for building your business, because having those Sometimes they act as a credit line. As we know, you can pay in 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. These are a breathing space for cash flow for a lot of businesses, and this should be considered in your strategy. But just like the previous conversation, do the math, know who you're dealing with, read the reviews. There's plenty of these companies that will assist you with business credit, and then you find out later they disappear, whether it's a consultant or a vendor. There's always a new play, always a new way to make the bag, secure the bag. But we also have to be mindful that we don't want to be at holding the bag at the end of the day, or having a bag with holes in it, saying that we're successful.
Josh, I don't want to keep putting you on the spot, but because you have the floor, can you go ahead and begin to tell us about your program, please?
Oh, definitely. Miami Bayside Foundation. We are a CDFI, as mentioned earlier, and we're able to provide economic development to the communities here in Miami-Dade, Broward, and Monroe County. Our goal is to create jobs, train business owners, and help you deal with all those hats that you're wearing, but you need to be passing out. So through our technical assistance, we guide business owners through that process. I call it the mini MBA, and this is all virtual, 3 days online. We have one coming up in Spanish. I'll share the website later, or you will. But definitely our goal is to provide funds to minority business owners and women. So minority, as defined by the state of Florida, is, of course, African American, Hispanic, Asian, Native American. So we are able to target those businesses with funds from $5,000 to $150,000. And we're not looking for collateral. We're not looking for perfect credit reports. We're looking to work with business owners that have an idea, have a strategy that we can assist them with, and have thought about the future of creating jobs, that have put together things that we feel comfortable of taking the risk for. And additionally, our program requires or we allow funding for startups. So this is something that in the CDFI and lending space, you always hear there's no funding for startups. We offer that at 0 months. But of course, this means you have to have your plan together. You have to have a sound projections. You have to, we like work experience. It makes sense for you to go from, I don't know, a banker to something in finance or some type of consulting, but a banker to a truck driver, I need a lot of details. I understand the opportunity. I understand a number of things, but are you really prepared? And are you prepared to take on debt? And in some instances, we also see people, leaving their jobs to secure capital. But I'll continue. I'm on tangent. But for other startups, we are looking for them to have a cash match of 20%. This means that you've invested in your business something. We're looking, have you bought computers? Are you put a down payment for your lease? Are you did you buy any other equipment? Is your education a factor? How are you showing us that you have skin in the game if your business is less than a year old? How are things looking for the business? A number of these things. And we're also open only to U.S. citizens or permanent residents. And you have to be a for-profit entity or LLC. And again, these are the services created for the underserved and those that have been overlooked by banks. Our goal is to really prepare you to get that type of lending, but also to maximize our funding as well, where the limits that we have for as far as a loan, we can review it annually. We can work with you. Our goal is to really make sure you're thriving as a business and you're going to be sustainable to help the South Florida area really benefit from this.
Is there any difference between the startup and an existing business with history as it relates to qualifying for your product or being able to be funded?
It varies. Every industry and business owner is so different now. We have some, even though we don't require collateral, we have some business owners that are startups that prepared and they have the collateral that can help push some things in the higher loan limits. But again, it varies per customer. We want to make sure, of course, everything's lean, because once we calculate the debt service, we calculate your cash flow, whether you're established or a startup, you've only been operating for 6 months or less. We need to understand what that household income looks like. So we don't stress you out, you don't stress us out. It's going to be a good relationship moving forward.
And Brenda, please tell us about the program or programs that you offer at the Miami Foundation.
Yeah, be happy to. So I mentioned this at the top of the webinar, but the Miami Open for Business program is facilitated through the Miami Foundation. The program was fueled by a $20 million gift that was given to us by Wells Fargo to be able to provide dollars to small businesses and nonprofits in the Miami-Dade County area to acquire critical assets that could help with sustainability. This came after we saw a lot of businesses being wiped out from the pandemic, and not having assets that could have helped assist them to keep on going in ways different than what they were used to. And so this program, we decided to create and design three different financial products to facilitate the 20 million allocation, and we created a micro grant for technology and equipment, where we decided to offer up to 20K for small businesses and nonprofits to apply to acquire laptops, printers, scanners, iPads, processing like squares. A few e-commerce business if they wanted to get like a subscription to Shopify, if people have had ideas of maybe building out a website, creating a build out of a website, but didn't have it before, that product could be used for that. If I'm speaking to any owners of a nail salon or a barber shop, if you wanted like updated like furniture, you would be able to use our micro grant funding for that. We also offer a asset building loan fund that is the interest rate is capped at 3%, which is a favorable interest rate if you're a small business owner. And the primary use cases for that are if you would like to acquire a commercial vehicle, or if you have a brick and mortar location and it needed renovation, or if you had a high interest rate on an asset and you needed to refinance it, that product could be used for that. We also keep it at a 0% interest rate for nonprofits who would like to take advantage of this product. And then lastly, our probably our most popular product that we get a lot of inquiries for, which was our collective real estate down payment assistance product, where we offered up to 500K, or 20% of the purchasing price. So this helped out with the down payment assistant portion, to create some sort of access to folks being able to collectively own property down here in South Florida. So now we are actually in our last and final year of funding for this program. We have gone through two rounds thus far, and really been able to see a lot of the storytelling. I can't tell you how many events I go to and people just show like the equipment that they brought. They show me the asset that they bought, and they are able to talk about how now they're able to meet client demand. They're able to have increased sales. And now, not only that, but there are ideas floating around their head in terms of what else they can procure for their businesses to ensure the sustainability of it. And that hits the mark of what we're trying to do here in Miami-Dade County.
So, Brenda, you said the CREO opportunity has closed for the remainder of the calendar year for 2024. Which opportunities are still available for business owners to inquire about?
Yes, thanks for the question, Jessica. So at the moment, our micro grant for technology and equipment is open until May 31st. So you still have roughly about a month to apply. And then our loan product closes September 30th. And something I do want to denote for all the attendees here, if you are in the process of applying or you've already submitted your application, all decisions will be made in June, and then all announcements in terms of getting approved, of being accepted for the award or not, will be communicated in July. So I say this because I don't want people to get so angsty to say, "Ooh, 20K, I really want to go apply right now." You do yourself a disservice to not use the entire length of time to be able to tap into other folks who provide technical assistance, who can, be a second, third, fourth, or fifth look at your proposal to ensure that you're putting yourself in the best favorable position. But then also, really ensuring that while you're doing that, you might be looking for other opportunities simultaneously. Our loan product, there is about a 7 days period that you would get a response back from when you apply. But I say all of that to say, give yourself due diligence time to like really ensure that you're putting yourself in a favorable position. Banks will not be as courteous to you to say, hey, well, you rushed through this, or you didn't take your time, or you were just anxious. Banks are not going to be that courteous to you. We really care about not only our investment in you, but the strength and the viability of what you're producing out in Miami. And we don't want to steer you wrong. And so part of that is ensuring that you have multiple eyes looking at what you're producing.
And can you provide any direction for those who may be looking for technical assistance for the two products that you currently have available? Where can they go?
Absolutely. So we on our website, which is miamiopenforbusiness.org, Miami Open for Business, all one word, no spaces in between. We have a tab on our website where you can get help through the program. And getting help through our program means that you would be able to be connected with our place-based technical assistance providers. Through this program, we have contracted 8 to 10 place-based technical assistance providers. So whether you live in Overtown, whether you reside or you have your business in Overtown, Miami Gardens, Opa-locka, North Miami, even down in the South area as well. So Coconut Grove, if you have any, even in Naranja, Homestead, or Hialeah, Little Havana, we have technical assistance providers that we have contracted to help you out primarily around this program. And even for additional outside opportunities as well. They are very aware and connected with the program. So a lot of the questions that you might ask about the application, they are well primed to help and assist you.
Now, you pointed out some specific neighborhoods, and I know why you pointed them out. Can you explain to our viewers why you pointed those specific neighborhoods out?
Absolutely. So the premise of the creation of this program was not only just geared towards business owners that took a hit during the pandemic, but those who have been historically underserved. Those neighborhoods that I mentioned to you are critical historically underserved corridors across Miami, who just have not been able to get the resources, share with them in an equitable manner. And resources not only just mean access to capital, it also means access to education, and also means access to network, as Josh was mentioning. And so the premise of this program was to intentionally kind of serve those communities. Something I want to highlight is that if your business is not located in those areas, it doesn't mean that you can't still apply. And you can still tap into those technical assistance providers. But we really, we're intentional about the program design to ensure that those communities saw themselves within the opportunity.
Mhm, mhm. And Joshua, as it relates to timing with a CDFI, how does that work in building that bridge and relationship between the business owner and the banking institution? Tell us a little bit about the details in that process.
So as they work with us, I always ask customers, whatever program you're looking for, especially with us, contact us directly. This helps you understand what the timeline looks like. For us, we usually see the process is about 15 to 45 days. So that's up to approval and sometimes even closing. So that gives you a month or two to have everything together. You're working with us throughout the process in order for you to then hopefully at the end close. So this is something that you have to be aware of so that your strategy matches. If you need funding in 2 weeks, a bank, a CDFI, unless you meet the perfect time frame, you're in a situation now where you have to really strategize and see what other options there are, because we take time. We have to thoroughly review your business plan, go over your projections, and assess the risk. So this is something where you have to be very mindful of the timeline, but we take about 15 to 45 days to give a review. As soon as we hear from you, we're contacting you in 24 hours, going over the process with you, going over some of those keys that we went over.
And Josh, what do you say to those business owners who are going through this process and some banks come back and keep asking for the same information over and over? Can you explain that to the business owners that are viewing today?
So in the banking process in general, or any lender, documents are everything. They verify what you're saying. They solidify whether or not we can go forward. They're essential. And we're dealing with technology in most cases. Unless you physically turned it in and it was perfect, things can happen. So whether it's tech related or the documents that we receive aren't as clear as we need them to be. I've asked for tax documents in the past and gotten one page, and maybe they'll share a little bit more. So transparency is the only way to go through the process. If we ask for bank statements and I only get the first page that shows the balances, I can't make a decision. I don't know your business. This is something where if documents are requested, there's a reason. Take some time out, ask the questions, make a phone call. Usually we're going to call you. We're going to ask thoroughly what is going on with this particular document. We're not seeing these items that you mentioned over here, because sometimes we have a puzzle and we're trying to put it together. And even though it may be annoying, we need as much information as possible. And I did forget to say something earlier. So our lending program is at 6% interest rate, and we deal with working capital, equipment, inventory, and other categories that fit the strategy of your business that don't deal with real estate investments or any build out. We want to make sure that the money is going to be used to really be for the business to grow. Working capital is essential. That could be rent, marketing, the hiring of employees, your overhead costs in general. We really want to make sure the money is going to be used to grow your business.
Now, Josh, you did mention earlier in the show that you were going to get a little more specific into the required document. If you can just give us a little bit more information. We talked about, I believe, the bank statements. Can you give a little bit more information?
Yeah, so for our process, we are, again, looking at your strategy. So in our loan application, there's some of these items that are already going to be requested, like your job creation form. We'll provide that to you. But the 3 years of personal and business taxes, that's something that in most cases, everyone has readily available. And I'm not talking about transcripts, the real taxes that hopefully you reviewed with your accountant or your tax preparer or someone. 6 months of bank statements. We want to see your debt schedule or the most recent statements from any debt that you have. That can be from loans, credit lines, credit cards, any of these types of things. We need to see the most recent statement so that we can then calculate what's your threshold, how much debt can you add on to your business if there is any. And of course, the most essential, the financial statements. We want to see your year to date. What does your profit and loss and balance sheet look like? Those details show us what is the trend of the business, what's going on. And then, of course, the last 3 additional years, not just 2024. We want to get a picture of the entire story that you're telling us. And the numbers speak very loud. We're going to look at those margins. How much does it cost for you to put your business out there? How much does you as an owner are you making at the end of the year? Is it consistent? Are there losses in business? This brings up the questions and the conversation that we can find out more about your business. Other than that, your business plan and projections, that's going to let us know what your strategy is. And we can help you in some instances with that. But again, no one knows your business like you. ChatGPT, a technical assist provider, someone you pay, cannot put on paper what's in your mind or your vision. You're the visionary. It's your responsibility. We'll talk to you about it. We'll work with you on it. But we really want to make sure we understand what you're building, what you're going to put out there in the market. And then for the use of funds, we want to have some type of quotes. So if you're using it for inventory, equipment, or that other category, maybe there's you add everything to a cart on the website of your vendor. We can really see where the money is going. We want to really understand what the money is going to be used for, especially if you have contracts. And this becomes a reason for a lot of people seeking funding. They say, contract is paper money. That was true for a season. Now we're finding that whether it's late payments, whether there's issues with vendors, the economy is really being bent right now. We have to be very careful with contracts and what you, not only what we agree with, but what you're already agreeing to, because if something happens, now your loan is due, your contract is 60 days late, you're fighting them, we're calling you, we're giving you room, of course, as a CDFI to make adjustments and offering technical assistance and all types of other things to get you afloat. But this can be a real drain on you. There's no golden bullet to business. There's no silver bullet to business. It's something where each piece has to come together and play its part. Our job is risk mitigation and making sure you're not over leveraged or in a position where your business can fall from under your feet.
Excellent. And Brenda, are there any items that are needed for your application process? Because quite frankly, everyone wants free money. There's no doubt about it, especially business owners. If you're going to give it away, how do I need to proceed in positioning myself to be able to take advantage of this seed that you're sowing into my business? So anything that you can offer.
Yeah. So, three things kind of come to mind. One is uh, budget, and not just having an expense based budget. You really want to also show where your revenue is coming in as well. That will help Josh hit the nail on the head where like the numbers like stand out really loud and they also tell a story. Part of our application involves some narrative aspect that I touched upon that really talks about your story. But if your story and the numbers don't align, that's going to cause an issue for you. Um, I also want to talk about folks really looking at how to do projections as well. It's a bit of a difficulty for folks because you can't always see what you can't see, and you can't project what you can't see. And sometimes, again, like for folks based on where they're at, it not only just the stage, but in terms of where they're at with like moving money across their business, it's hard to be able to see what you can't see. But on a funder end, it really tells the story of how you will manage the money, and this also pertains to free money as well too. What does that mean from month to month? What you're bringing in, but also if we decided to make the investment in you with buying an asset, that is supposed to be influencing then what you're looking at for the projections as well too. And so if you can't tell the story behind what that's going to look like, it causes a bit of concern on the reviewer's end. The last thing I'll also say is take a look at what you're providing for your cash flow as well. Being able to tell the story of what that looks like, and then also the bank statements as well. On our end, and I'm speaking more so primarily to the loan products. On our end, we don't have a minimum credit threshold for what we're looking at in terms of the underwriting. Um, uh, we also it's on a point system based, and so we take that as a part of character, but that's not the only defining thing. But every document tells a story, and so like you can either be an inch away or an inch closer, to being able to be funded. And this is our tool and mechanism to kind of underscore what is deemed bankable by banks, and so what already shuts you out from being able to get funding. This is our way of being able to kind of at least kind of limit that threat, that floor a little bit for folks. But you want to make sure that those three things you kind of take a stock in, because to Joshua's point, documents are everything, and these funding opportunities are meant to be a building block to get you to actually get in front of banks and not get the denial. But you got to take these necessary steps to get there. These are like a basic essential part when you're applying for banks. So if you don't even have this ready, you're never going to be ready to get, to that big money.
Right.
So these are all steps to be able to get you there.
Mm-hmm. Well, we want to thank everyone for joining us for today's Lunch and Learn. Big thanks to Brenda, to Joshua. Thank you for bringing all of that information. Are there any closing thoughts that you wanted to leave our viewers with? Actually, let's leave them with your platform's website so that they can go get more information and to follow up.
Yeah, I'll start off. So Anywhere you can find information about us, you can check out our website, which is miamiopenforbusiness.org. So the name of the program.org, all one word. We have an events calendar where you can find out where we will be out in community. We also have a lot of documents, a lot of flyers, a lot that pertains to even some of the templates that we have. That's all listed on our website. And I would be remiss with having the opportunity to speak with some small business owners to elevate that we will actually be having our final micro grant application party, primarily geared towards small businesses, on Thursday, May 9th, from 2 to 4 p.m. It'll be hybrid. So if you're not able to just jump away from work, you're able to join online. But this is where you'll get keen insights in terms of what we're looking for on our application for the microgrant, that you will be able to take away for you to apply. While it is highly competitive, we want to make accessibility to what we're looking for easy for you all to get.
Thank you, Brenda. And Joshua?
Yes, please reach out to me directly. I'm going to give you a website as well, but you can reach out to me directly at josh@mbf.org, Miami Bayside Foundation, josh@mbf.miami, sorry. And then for our website, you can go to miamibaysidefoundation.org. You can go straight to our technical assistance workshop page. You can also go to our loan page, send us an email through there and contact us directly. Let's have a conversation and build a relationship first so that you know the process. And if we need to redirect you to a CDFI, another CDFI, or a program like Open for Business, we also do that as well. We work very closely as a network of nonprofits to make sure the real resources are given to people in our community. And that's what we're here for.
Well, thank you again, Josh. Thank you again, Brenda. And thank you all for joining us for our first series, Lunch and Learn. We secured the bag today, and we'll see you back again next month. Thank you.